And author of the English Language TestPrep.com blog. Thank you for being with me today for this review of three call idioms for English Language Test Prep Television, episode number 8. So let's go ahead and get started with these three call idioms that are going to help you to improve your vocabulary for a higher score on the TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS exam. So, what are the three idioms that we're looking at for today? Number one, call the shots. Number two, call it quits. And number three, call a meeting. Now, let's take a look at each of these three call idioms with definitions and examples to show you how to use them correctly. Now, remember with the idioms, they're informal English. So you would only want to use them on the TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS speaking test. All right, let's go ahead and get started with call the shots. So if someone calls the shots, that means that they are in charge. They are to be in charge. For example, Chester quit his job last Example, Chester quit his job and now calls all the shots in his career, not a pesky manager. Let's roll on to number two. Call it quits. To quickly leave a job, usually for a better one. Let's look at our example here. Example, Sally called it quits and went to the beach with her boyfriend last Friday. To call it quits. Now, if you're studying for the TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS exam, and you know how important vocabulary is to your success, you want to have probably a crash course on vocabulary that's going to give you essential word power to help you do well on the exam. And to do well on these tests, you need less common vocabulary terms as well as collocations, idioms, and phrasal verbs. I've created a video e-course that does just that. You get 20 less common vocabulary terms and 30 collocations, idioms, and phrasal verbs that are going to help you on the exam. Go ahead and register and check out the video e-course at bit.ly slash teach 50 vocab. Enroll today, get started improving your word power, and get that high score on those tests that you seek and deserve. And finally, today, our look at the third call idiom, and that is to call a meeting. So if you're at the office and the boss calls a meeting, then that means simply to hold or to conduct a meeting. For example, the boss called a meeting at for all managers at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. So if you're one of those so if you're one of those lucky managers, you're going to be waking up probably pretty early to go to that meeting, to call a meeting, to conduct a meeting. Well, there you go. All three call idioms as promised. Number one, to call the shots. That is, number one, to call the shots. That is, to be in charge. Number two, call it quits. Leave your job suddenly, maybe and hopefully for a better one. And number three, to call a meeting, to conduct or to hold a meeting. There you go, your three call idioms. And before I go, I invite you to subscribe to my vocabulary email blog. Every 2 or 3 days, you'll receive a new lesson or resource that's going to help you to strengthen your word power. And as you know, if you're already engaged in TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS preparation, you know how important a strong vocabulary is. And if you have not checked out the video e-course that I talked about earlier, in the meantime, you can sign up for the vocabulary email blog to get started so that you can feel more empowered, more confident using English, whether you're speaking or writing. And for that reason, I encourage you to subscribe to the vocabulary email blog at simply bit.ly/vocab email. bit.ly/vocab email. Get started today improving your word power and get on the path to strengthening your chances of getting a high score on the TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS exam. I'm Professor Wynn, author of the English Language TestPrep.com blog. Thank you for being with me today for this episode number 8 of Thank you for being with me today for episode number 8 of English Language Test Prep. And thank you for being with me today for episode 8 of the English Language Test Prep television that every Wednesday and Thursday provides you exam tips and vocabulary tips live right here to help you be better prepared for the exam so that you get the high score that you seek and deserve. I'll see you in the next video, and good luck on the TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS exam.